Hello and welcome to JoBeth Sexton's Crafty Cauldron. Today I'm going to show you my two newest journals that I have listed in my Etsy store. One is a mini journal soft-ish cover, and the other one is a little chunky and a little smaller. So let's start with the green one. First of all, we have this ribbon tie. It's a grosgrain ribbon. The binding has been covered with, let me see here, I'm fixed the lighting. I thought it was fixed, but we got it. Okay. Binding has been covered with, or the spine has been covered with some antique white lace. It's not antique lace, it's just antique colored. And it's a 3-hole pamphlet stitch binding. And we have it covered with some really pretty cloth, and this is all springtime flowery themed. Inside the front cover we have a library, and I made the pocket. It's a library style pocket with a journaling tag in it. This is a teeny tiny envelope courtesy of Nick the Booksmith, and I will provide a link. Inside of this is a vintage macrame tiny little owl. And I know it is vintage because my mother had it, and she got it from a friend of hers who used to make these in the 70s. So there's that. First page we have stampings of trees and a pine cone, an altered paper clip. This is a journal tag with a blank back. It's been inked. Then we have a tea and coffee stained doily. We have a page from a vintage sewing book, and it's been sewed with some coffee stained lace right there. Let's see. We've got a pocket that has been it's actually not a pocket, it's a tuck, but it's vintage music, and you can see the year that it's from right here. It's all in Roman numerals. A old library card catalog card. This is a pieced together page that I have sewn on a cloth pocket, and a faux envelope right there. Another page from a sewing book and some textile sew-ons right here with a little tab made out of some jacquard trim and green and gold. On the next page, we have some vintage pearl buttons. It's mother of pearl. It's still looking pretty good, too. Some coffee-stained paper, coffee-stained ledger paper. Then we have another journaling card with some little stamp-like journaling spots inside, and the back is blank. Let's see, we have this little card here. This is a journaling card, and it's a little special because I did it upside down, but I thought I'd keep it because it's really cute. And there's also a shaker envelope inside of this pocket, and it's made out of vintage parchment tissue paper, and a little teeny tiny tag, and I've stamped it. It says growth. So that goes in here. I'll fix that later. This is a little pop-out journaling space with a tuck, and there is a card in there, and then there's a pocket behind it with a page from a German dictionary. The page is quite thin. Then we have some trim on this page sewn on, and this pocket is from, I believe it's Antique Papery, with some vintage music and a print of a vintage picture from January 1966. This is the house, from the house that I lived in when I was 1 year old. We had stone fireplaces, so that's from my collection. Then we have a dictionary page that's been stamped. On the next page, more stamping, a pocket with a little tiny plain card from Victoria Designs. Then on this page we have a handmade tag out of a dictionary page and a teeny tiny envelope with some space inside of it and an extra little teeny tiny tag right there, and it just goes right under that little dot, that circle. Then we have a page from a vintage knitting book, needle thread and that kind of book. Some handmade paper with little flower cards. You can journal on the back of those. Then we have a tiny notebook made out of coffee stained ledger. Tucks into this little tuck spot right here. And that folds back over. The hinge has been reinforced with washi tape. Stamping. This is the center of the single signature. Under this is blank except for the stamping, so you can cover your writing with the fabric flip. And I left this side of this open right here, so you can tuck something inside of there. This is also open on this side, so you could tuck a treasure inside of there and pin it shut with a safety pin. Then we have another blank page for journaling. The vintage needlecraft book. This is a blank, it's parchment, new parchment, but I stamped it with lines. It says, I asked her, would she like to have a talk? And this is from a song, I believe it is called Dancing with Dolly. It's vintage music. This is a dictionary page with some vintage trim. And yes, this is vintage trim. It's pretty old. It's like from the 60s. I had to kind of stitch it on the end here so the little ball wouldn't fall off. And this is a peekaboo card. It just opens up like this. You can journal on the inside and or not as you see fit. It's going to be your journal after all. This is a coffee stained sheet of paper and a little sideways flip under this piece of fabric with a tiny notebook and then a surprise flower underneath and an altered paper clip to keep it shut so it doesn't flap open when you don't want it to. This is a right side up, upside down pocket, so it's got spot here for this little envelope, and you can tuck something else up underneath this fold right here. And then the outside of it has been covered with a book page from 1953 Child's Encyclopedia. This little envelope behind some cardstock parchment and a drawing book here. This is a spinner bookmark, and the idea is from Pam at the Paper Outpost. Thank you, Pam. You're awesome. And then this page also has a sewn-on lace. And underneath the lace is a piece of purple cardstock to give it a little bit of color. And then we have more coffee stained paper. This is a bookmark that I created out of a page from a vintage art history book, and I painted over it with this dragonfly glaze. It's color changing, color shift paint. It's really pretty. So it's got kind of glittery stuff on it. This is a pocket made from the 1953 Child's Encyclopedia. On this page we have 3 tiny tags and 3 tiny pockets, and these tags are also made from the art history book, the vintage art history book. It's from the 60s. Then we have this pocket made out of a tiny paper bag and a tall tag. This is a tiny notebook that I created to go in this book, into this journal, vintage music, vintage sheet music. This is an altered paper clip with one of the little balls from the vintage trim over here, and I've sewn it on and then tied a piece of seam binding on it. The other side of the coffee stained doily, blank page for journaling, and on the back we have a little top tuck with a little paper for notes, and this is really cute. This is from my first son's baby shower. He's 33 now. So technically it's vintage, but it's a little tissue paper ball. It's really cute, and you can open it up and glue it open. I like to play with them, so I just left it in here attached to a string so you can get it out easily. And then I have signed it here. On the center of the signature we have hanging, it's a little star made out of holographic paper and a little silver circle that kind of reminds me of a moon. It's hanging from the binding thread that holds the signature in. So there's the first one. I believe it is 7 1/4 by 5 1/4 with half-inch spine, and the ribbon ties it shut. So then we have the second one, which is a chunky little mini journal. This one is it's got a harder cover on it, made out of cardstock and an old box. And it's got a 3-signature, 3-hole pamphlet stitch binding, and I left the binding, the stitches bare. And then it's got the jacquard metallic trim in a Celtic knot design. Then we open this one up and it wraps around. It goes through these eyelets on the sides, but you don't have to take it out of the eyelets to open it. That's why I made it extra long. You can just flip it up, flip it down. I'm going to go this way. And then it opens all the way up. So this one, I'll stick something in this pocket. It's not going to be empty when it gets to you, but I don't know what I'm going to put in there yet. So, you know, altered paper clip with some baker's twine, a little tuck with a tiny envelope made out of map from an atlas. And then here we have pieced together paper. It's a short paper and some pieced together paper with purple. This is a little page from a drawing book, and it's got the kitty cat on it and a little fold out. Coffee stained paper, butterfly. It's like white, off-white with silver and gold butterflies. Craft paper. Then we have some tiny pockets with tiny tags, and this one is all about macro, macrocosmic, macrocosmos, etc. And they're stamped. This one is sheet music. Then we have a blank page for journaling, and then another page with tags in it, so you can journal on those, or you can write on the outside of the pocket, or both. Map, and this is a page this part's been heavily inked. It's on parchment, new parchment. And then coffee stained paper and a little snip of scrap paper. And we have these pages. This is the center of the first signature. We have an entire poem that covers 2 pages. It's called Ogier the Dane. It's quite interesting. Hinge reinforced with clear, almost clear cloth tape. You can read through it, so there's no problem there. Then a map and a little tall tag right here that goes in, made out of a dictionary page. Pieced together paper, or as Nick the Booksmith likes to call it, frankenpaper. This is a little pocket made out of some scrapbooking paper and a little notebook with a beaded charm on it. I'll show you that little charm. It's got a crystal bead and some lampwork glass, and then a cat's eye bead as well. That just goes right in there. Then we have the other side of the butterfly paper, a tuck made from some old sheet music, coffee stained paper, a little tiny tag with a little master's painting on it from an art book, the drawing book, a calendar page that's been coffee stained. This is a tuck with some extra writing paper in it that has not been inked or anything. This page is from scrapbooking paper. Then we have our second signature, which is stitched paper. It's like cloth paper, so it's really nice. A honeysuckle poem, a blank page, and then a short page that's been coffee dyed, and there's a fold out. This is a page from a handbook of rigging. It's a vintage book from 1950s. Coffee stained old notebook paper, and this is a page from a book about history, and it's nice thick paper. You can write on this part of it. If you have a gel pen in white or gold or something, you can write on top of the darker part. It's an old phonograph. There's Charlie Chaplin, and it talks about movies in the West. This is a little tiny pocket with a little tiny notebook, and the notebook has rounded corners on the outside with moon phase, and then it's got several pages on the inside. It's been stitched in with a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. There's part of another map. In the middle of the signature, we have the rest of the map, and then this little cutout thing that I decided to put right around the little compass rose that looks like a globe. Then we have a little pocket here, and inside the pocket we have a little paper bag with more writing paper on it. You are welcome to journal all over that. You can also journal on this because the print is so small. Another page of the history, movies history and radio history book. This is a coffee stained page, a little corner tuck with a little notebook. Then we have the this page. It's from the rigging book, coffee stained notebook paper. blank sheet, and then some more of that stitched paper right here. And it's gold. It's like coppery gold. Third signature, we have this. It's a print scrapbooking page. It just looks like old paper. Then we have a piece of tissue paper that's been stamped with lines and coffee stained paper. This page has on it a 4-tag pocket. One pocket goes this way, and then there's 2, 3, and then 4. We've got 4, and you can journal on the outside of that. And that's on brown craft paper that I put lines on the back of. So you have plenty of journaling space here. Then graph paper, and this is more coffee stained paper. This is a little page out of a book, my baby book, and it's an old, it talks about correspondences for a horoscope. So you've got like the flowers, the ruling planets, and then on the other side of the signature is the front of the page. Back for it's blank, but you can see the lines through it, so it's great for journaling. Then we have this coffee stained paper here, a homemade tag from vintage notebook paper, and on the other side is some craft scrapbooking paper. The center of the signature is a graph paper, which you can write on either this way or this way. Coffee stained paper with some really faint lines, and the edges of this paper had gold on them, and when I coffee stained it, it came off all over, and it looks really cool. I don't know if you can see that. There's like, see if my camera will focus for you. There we go. I don't know if you can see the little gold glittery stuff in there, but it's really neat. It's like really subtle. Here's the other side of that horoscope page where we see the month, the sign, the birthstone, and then the significant words for the sign. This is a little page with a tuck, and the hinge is made out of a little piece of new parchment paper. Little teeny tiny flip-up notebook, matchbook style, with a little cover over. There's a staple there, so I covered it with fabric. And that just folds right down inside of there. And then I used the top side of a heart for the punch on that pocket, for the thumb hole. And then graph paper, coffee stained paper, another pocket with a homemade luggage tag type of thing, coffee stained paper, and this is a piece of tissue paper, and behind it, it's a young firwood poem. So I put some fir tree pictures with it. Then at the last we have this little notebook, and each page has been stamped with a leaf following our green theme. And then this is just a little cloth collage right here with a button. And then below this I have signed it, handmade by, and then the date. And there you have it. Cute little chunky purse-sized journal. These are already listed in my Etsy store if you are interested in that. The link will be provided for you below this video, as will the links to Victoria Designs and Nick the Booksmith, where I have gotten some of the elements that I have stuffed this journal with. So you can visit them. They both have lots of digitals and lots of things in their Etsy stores. Nick the Booksmith is one of my favorite YouTubers as far as journals goes, because she is super creative and has a lot of really interesting journals that she has made, and there are flip throughs for them on her channel. So there you have it. We have our 2 journals. More on the way. I am almost done with another one, which is a full-size journal, and we will be videoing that really soon. So please like, subscribe, and share this video. I do crafting videos as well as coloring videos, so enjoy yourself there too. I have a Facebook page. It is called JoBeth Sexton's Crafty Cauldron. I will provide a link for you so you can go visit me. Request to join. There are no questions to answer. There's just a few little basic rules about, courtesy, respect, and what you can upload as far as sticking, information, links, pictures, etc. on the page. I also have a website and an Etsy store. The website does not have journals in it. The Etsy store does have journals in it, And I also make jewelry, which is also in there. So enjoy yourself. Have a great day. Remember, peace, love. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Make it a happy, crafty, colorful one. Thank you. We'll see you again soon in the next video.